you can always add more to a painting, but you need to realize that the painting's already been done.
Like, at what day and moment was I just like, I'm not doing this anymore?
Right.
I wish I could go back and kick that son of a bitch in the dick.
Whatever somebody's going through, even the little things are things that progressively get bigger. There's ways around it. There's ways to go through it. It really is.
Forgot something.
Everything is a consequence. Everything changes with every decision that you make.
This is me versus me. My little advertisement display for these was supposed to get picked up.
Oh.
And I forgot to deal with that. Whoops.
That's okay.
It's fine. He's cool.
Always tomorrow and the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, welcome on.
Thank you.
Finally.
Yes.
You want to go by Meg?
Yeah.
Megan?
Works. Either one.
Megan Saban?
Sabin.
Saban?
Yep, but close.
Okay.
Yeah, you can pronounce it that way.
I've known you off and on for a long time, it feels like.
Yeah. Probably 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe even I moved back. I lived in Florida, and I moved back from Florida in 2019.
Uh-huh.
And then I started hanging out with everyone, so it was probably 2019, 2020.
I was going to say, even before then, did you live in Florida? Or did you?
So I lived in Arizona, born and raised out here, went to high school, all that. College out here, and then moved to Florida for a year, and then came back.
I feel like, even though we weren't pretty acknowledged in each other's lives, I feel like I've seen you before that, though.
You could have.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just your personality or what, but I've always felt like I fucking know her.
And we could have crossed paths.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could have. Arizona is a small, community.
Yeah, it's a lot of people shoved into a tuna can.
Yeah, pretty much. Tuna can. That's a great way to put it.
What high school did you go to?
I went to 4 different high schools.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to an art school freshman year. And that was just not my personality. So we left that one. Went to a charter school in South Phoenix my sophomore year. Mm-hmm. Got some man stalking me, so I had to leave that school.
Perfect.
Moved out to Surprise. Was living out there for my junior year, Shadow Ridge High School. Mm-hmm. And then came back to Phoenix and did Sunny Slope.
Holy shit, Sunny Slope?
Yeah.
Well, how'd that go over?
I was never there, so...
Fuck.
I think, the senior year, the first semester, I had 67 absences in my first period class. God. And they're like, you will not graduate if you do not start showing up to class. And so...
Sucks to suck.
Yeah, and so I was like, I guess I'll show up, and I would barely show up. But
were you not there on purpose?
Yeah. Why do I want to be there? Why would I want to be there? I was getting all the work done. If I knew I had a test, I was like, okay, I'll go for the test. But if I didn't want to be, what's the point?
Wow.
I did not see the purpose of waking up that early. For what?
So I would assume, you graduated.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Went to college afterwards.
I barely missed days and I still didn't graduate.
Yeah, okay, well, you know what? It depends on the person and the teachers, really. Because my teacher was like, hey, she made a deal with me. She was like, I know you're not going to show up to this class. Show up for all the tests and turn in your homework and we'll be good.
Oh, shit.
Like, okay.
All right.
Yeah. She knew I got accepted into GCU early on my senior year. Mm-hmm. And so she was like, I know you're going to GCU next year. I don't want to mess it up for you. Let's just get you through it. And
no
like, okay.
shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then my other teachers were not that cool, but she was. So I just knew which classes I could miss and which ones I had to show up to.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so crazy to hear. I've never actually heard the complete other end because my high school experience was so drastically different.
Yeah.
They were just trying to put. I don't want to use the word book smart, mm-hmm. but my interest was not school.
Yeah.
But I was there every day. I was trying.
Yeah.
It just wasn't my thing.
Okay.
So they treated me like, come on, little buddy.
What school did you go to?
Barry Goldwater.
Okay.
And it was just it was the whole time of them just feeding me oh yeah, everything's okay, that kind of deal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was super bad. I was like a poster child for Ritalin.
Okay.
So hearing that they're able to make the conscious choice to be well, I'm not gonna fuck this up for you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a little irritating.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, because I don't even know what that opportunity looks like.
Yeah.
But
and it's super frustrating when you see other people get the opportunities that you are not that you feel like you deserve it, but you're like, why couldn't that be me kind
Right,
of thing. And
right,
it's super
yeah.
frustrating to see it.
And it was always like my big dream. Nobody else in my family really went to college.
Okay.
So it was always like my big dream to go to ASU.
Okay.
And then when they told me, they literally laughed in my face when I found out I wasn't going,
Wow.
or like that there was no way,
Yeah.
because I didn't understand how to get there or what it entailed. Because
Yeah.
nobody teaches you that
No,
shit.
they don't.
And when I found out I wasn't going, I was like, well, okay, well, what am I doing here then?
Yeah.
Like, this is done, I think.
And did you lose your like motivation to go to school, or did you keep going?
I would say probably the beginning of my senior year, I was like, because they told me what it was going to take for me to graduate, and it was like another 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And I was like, this is fucking really retarded.
Yeah.
And I went to continuation for 6 months.
Okay.
One of those like
Yeah.
juvie schools.
Yeah.
Which was dope because they were pushing me through,
Yeah.
and I was getting credits like 3 times faster.
And did you like keep going with that, or did you? Why
Well,
did you
the school closed down.
Oh.
Didn't have enough students.
Okay.
So they were like, you can go back to the other school provided you you pass everything. You have a year and a half left, or you can drop out.
Okay.
And I was done with my senior year at that point.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just gonna go to work.
Did you like have any other options, or were there not any other schools that you could have gone to? Wow.
Yeah, I think there was one other continuation that's
Yeah.
super far,
Okay.
way downtown.
That's my brother went to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, my mom was already sick at the time.
Yeah.
Life was already kind of approaching, and I was like, I'm just gonna go to work.
Yeah.
And
Makes
it's crazy because that's how a majority of the people end up just in the workforce.
Yeah.
But
you had to work. You had to make a living. You had to
but
make money.
it's kind of fucking cool to hear the other side of that, you know.
Yeah.
If the motivation looks right, they push you through to the good side.
Yeah. And I think like with my teachers, they knew I had like a good heart where I was like, okay, it's not that I'm not showing up because I don't want to. It's I was bored and I'm like, this is it.
Mhm.
If I don't if I don't understand the why am I doing it? Like
Right.
I'm not going to do something just to do it. I need to understand what I'm doing it for. And to me, I was already accepted, and that was my 4th high school. So I was like, I'm tired of doing the same thing.
Done with this shit.
Like I'm making new friends every school year. And then I went, so Sunny Slope, the middle school I went to, all of my friends went from there to Sunny Slope. So I'm seeing all my middle school friends that I haven't seen in the last like 3 years. And I'm like, I don't like any of you anymore. Like, I don't want to be here.
We didn't grow up together.
Yeah.
So, what did you? What year did you graduate high school?
2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you study at GCU?
Marketing. But then I dropped out. So I did not graduate with my marketing degree. Marketing, I went to Florida and I worked there for a year at Disney World. Yeah. And then when I came back, it was, okay, do I want to go back to school? And I got a job offer at Harley Davidson as a marketing manager. And so I started working there, and I was making more money than the people at Disney World that had college degrees. And I'm like, why am I going to continue to go to school? And I made that promise to my manager. I was like, okay, I'll finish school and work at the same time. And that was like the whole promise. But then we opened up a second location. I was the marketing manager of both. And I'm like, I'm not going back to school. I have my plate full. And so I never went back. And I've never needed the degree. I've had great jobs that I never needed a degree for. And it's really just experience. And so college to me is also a waste of money.
Yeah, the conversation's been brought up in a pretty giant spectrum these days. How much of a waste of money college really is.
Yeah.
That's super cool to hear. I've toyed with the false information of having degrees.
Yeah.
Just to get a job. And I mean, it wasn't false because I knew how to do the job.
Yeah.
But there was never any questions asked.
No.
I've never had one person say, let me see proof.
Yeah.
You know?
And they never will.
Nope.
Yeah, LinkedIn, all you have to put on LinkedIn is that you went there or you graduated or something.
Literally.
And they never ask for a degree. They never ask for your GPA. They never ask for any of that. And so my little brother, he's going into college now. And I'm trying to tell him if that's what you feel like you want to do, let's actually don't do it just because you have to. Let's talk about your options. But my cousin just graduated from ASU, and for her, I'm like, why are you stressing about your GPA? No one in the workforce will ever ask for your GPA. But they put this whole pressure on you that you had to graduate, that you had to have a high GPA.
Yeah.
No one cares about any of that.
Yep.
No one cares about that.
It's super bizarre to figure out, you know, and I tried to start college. I tried to start community college.
Mm-hmm.
I think I started like doing the processing for like 5 times. And every time I'd get to the point where they're like, well, what classes? What are you going for? And I'm like, I don't fucking have a clue why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Nobody's taught me why I'm doing this. And, like, I don't have a fucking direction here.
Yeah.
And it was literally just going to be a waste of money. So I never went through with it. So I'm like, I'm paying my own bills here.
Yeah.
So.
I have my own bills. I have money I have to.
Yeah. But you're right. And it kind of benefits me because it makes me feel a little bit better about it. I can at least say that I went my full 4 years of high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I totally went all 4 years.
Yeah, no one's going to
I
question
finished my
anything.
senior year, for sure.
But no one even asked for a high school degree either.
Nope.
They don't
Not-
ask for diplomas. They don't ask for any of that.
Not one single person has ever asked me.
Yeah.
And I don't have it.
And no one would know. Now they might know, but
Well, yeah, now everybody fucking
Yeah.
knows. FBI just text me. Oh.
yes.
And it kind of makes me look back to, you know, when I did want to go to ASU so bad for a lot of reasons. And I'm unfortunately kind of thankful I didn't.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a direction. It was more just to say
I went. Yeah.
But not to have that debt that's going to follow me till I die.
No.
You know, that shit doesn't go away.
Nope.
And I can't find any reason why it would be justifiable at this point.
Yeah.
Everything that I want to do is without paperwork. So,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Well, and if you don't know what you want to do, like, why waste your time? Why waste your money? Like, you're wasting your time, really. You could be trying different jobs, like, looking at different things to actually see what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Go down that field instead of wasting money on, college classes that you don't even know if that's what you want to do.
And even going all the way down to the bare minimums of it, you know, women have a slightly better chance because you guys are maybe a little bit more developed than we are at 19.
Yeah.
At 19, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't get my head on my shoulders until I was like 31. And then I had a slight clue. I was like, oh, wow. Maybe it's time to do better.
Yeah.
What am I going to choose at 20, you know? What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, and when I first started going to GCU, I think I wanted early childhood education. Like, I was like, I'm going to be a teacher. I changed my, degree. I couldn't even tell you how many times. And then finally I was like, okay, I'm sticking with marketing because I'm tired of changing it. Because every time you change it, you have to take new classes. And I'm like, this is just ridiculous. Just choose marketing and I'll go from there. I could market anything and we're good.
Yeah.
And I didn't even graduate with it, so...
I mean, looking at everything that I'm trying to do now, I would have taken nothing relevant.
Yeah.
And there's things, actually, that I would like to take classes for now.
Well, and you can go just take the class.
Right. Well,
So-
I'm sure these days I could take online shit.
Yeah.
And just call it a day.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, the whole conversation about college being a scam is completely relevant in my mind.
It is.
You know?
Yeah.
That's not fair. You literally can't get rid of that debt.
No.
You bankruptcy, nothing. If you die, it gets passed on to your next relative.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It doesn't go away.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's not a good situation.
Yeah, no.
So.
Yeah, it's not fun. And usually the job that you get, you can't even afford, right after college, you can't even afford to pay off your student loans.
Well, yeah, the return is not worth it.
Yeah.
90% of the time.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree.
And what do you do now?
I am a children's pastor, actually.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We were just talking about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I cross a line, you got to tell me.
No,
But
you're good.
you get paid to do that?
I do. And that's a question. That's a very common question. People ask me later, okay, so this is a full-time job,
Right?
No one understands that, but it is a very full-time job, working 60 hours sometimes. I just it never stops.
Yeah, your level of dedication has to be there.
Yeah, and it is. I love kids,
Sure.
I don't have kids. Don't know better, and so working with kids, you're able to teach them right and wrong. You're able to say, hey, this is why we don't do what you're doing. This is why we do this instead of that. Adults, you've made it this far in life, and you're still choosing to do what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I have no patience for that.
Right.
Kids, they at least don't know better. They have an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Adults, you've made it this far in life. What is your excuse? I'm so confused. How have you made it this far in life?
Babysitting adults is definitely one of my weak points.
Yeah.
I don't have it in me to do it.
No.
That's just not my thing.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for some of the ways I approach it, but I'm like, I got enough shit going on.
Yeah.
I don't need to be looking over you.
It's the most frustrating thing. And I know I'm not the nicest person. I do not have the patience.
The same can be said for me, and I'm trying to accomplish this whole thing.
But you're asking questions, and that's what is a great start. Me, I'm not asking. I don't want to know why you're like this. Like, I don't care why you're like this. Just fix it. Like, I really could not care what you've gone through, because I think we've all gone through things in life.
Right.
Being a bad person, you have no excuse. Like, you've made it this far in life. Let's work on it. You don't like something about your life, your situation. Let's work to fix it instead of just sitting there in misery and just keep going down that path.
Yeah, when people, and it's a blanket statement, and it shouldn't be, because there's a lot of different gray areas. But when people like use the statement something like, "Well, this is just who I am," I'm like, "Oh, fucking bullshit, dude!" Like, that's not true. I mean, you don't need to say some shit like that just to make an excuse.
Yeah, and it's not even, you have no accountability for it.
Right. It's a shit excuse when people say that.
Really
everybody's fully capable of growing and learning. And all you're telling me is that you don't want to. And at that point, I'm like, all right, well.
Yeah, and
cool.
The thing that really frustrates me are the people who sit there and complain about it. I didn't have the best hand dealt to me either. Like, I have two parents that love me, and I'm very thankful for that. Might not have been the best childhood, might not have been the best situations that I've gone through, but I knew watching it, I don't want to be that, and I don't want to continue that path. That's why I started therapy. I don't want to continue these, like, things that people are just continuing to do. I want to change it, and I don't want to go into my next, like, relationship of doing the same things that hurt the last person. I want to be a better person today than I was yesterday.
See, this is one of the more beneficial parts of what I'm trying to accomplish here, is when I hear people say stuff like, "That is exactly what I don't want to be doing."
Yeah.
I don't know what age group would you be referring to when you made that choice?
Like, when did I make that choice?
Yeah.
I would say, like, I'm watching the things that I watched growing up at 10 years old. I knew something wasn't right. Like, I had something inside me say, this is not an okay situation. And so, like, it started off young, but in middle school, I was like, I'm not going to, oh, well, it's just who I am. Like, I'm not going to do that. But it wasn't until, honestly, my mid to late 20s where I was like, I'm changing it. I'm not, like you said, 19, 20 years old. You don't know what you're doing. Like,
yeah, we don't know shit.
You don't know what you're doing in life.
Yeah.
And so, like, I knew, like, okay, I don't want to be this. I don't want to continue these, like, I'm looking at my family. I don't want to act the way that they do. But I didn't know how to change it. And it wasn't until, like, my mid-20s where I'm like, okay, I'm changing it. I'm changing it. I'm not doing this anymore. Whatever I have to do, I'm going to start with therapy. I've tried therapy before. It did not work before. I was like, okay, I'll give it another try. A different therapist. Tried it, and I loved it. And, like, you just have to find the thing that works for you instead of just... And you can't, like, quit after one thing. And that's one thing I wish I could tell, like, my old self when I tried therapy the first time. I quit over the first one. She made me mad. She looked at me and she goes, "You have daddy issues." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much. I did not realize I was paying you to tell me things I already knew."
Appreciate that.
I literally got up and I said, "Thank you, we're done." Did not even finish the session. But, like, I wish, like, I knew then not to just give up right then.
Right.
Like, there was someone else out there that was willing to help me and willing to listen to me. But instead, I'm like, okay, I opened up to one person and it did me wrong. So, or it made me mad, so now I'm not going to open up to anyone else. And now it's hard. You have to learn how to forgive.
Yeah. That's definitely something I find myself, especially, like, growing up. Now that I have a handful of experiences of my own life, and now I have to learn how to move past the shit that I, like, put a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And I have to learn how to overcome those. And it's a big fucking hurdle for me personally.
I think it is for anyone, really. It's not easy just to be like, okay, let's move on.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of things that stand in my way of moving forward in certain directions, and you know, it's pretty. I find it pretty amazing when people can put their thoughts into actions like that, and that's where all these questions come from. Because I had so many questions. You know, I had the same thoughts that you did around that time, like, okay, this isn't normal.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel right. And at that young age, you're still borderline like in your innocence. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
you're following what should be pure, and when things go sideways because of arrogance or because of ego at such a young age, you're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Like, why did we have to do that?
Yeah.
That doesn't feel right. But not knowing how to navigate it.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And I think that's why, like, I'm so passionate about, like, our kids and our youth. Because if I had someone that was just willing to invest in me personally when I was in high school, that says, like, hey, I'm a safe place for you to talk to,
Mm-hmm.
I bet you it would have gone completely different.
Oh, that opportunity would be so incredible for so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But instead, like, I feel like we hear the excuse all the time. Well, I went through it. It's normal teenage stuff. I went through it. It's normal kid stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not normal. And I think, like, we need to stop normalizing. Because what is normal?
Right.
What's normal to me isn't going to be normal to you.
Exactly.
And so stop saying it's normal, because it's not. And just because it's normal doesn't mean it doesn't hurt or there's not emotions behind that.
I would say everything else that you just described as not normal is probably normal.
Yeah.
In its own case.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
and that those things are what mold us, and people don't understand, or they choose not to understand how malleable you are, you know, for fucking 20 years of your life.
Yeah.
And instead of just brushing it off,
Yeah.
you know.
Or the lovely excuse of, well, it's not as bad as what I had.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's not, but that does not mean that it does not still hurt what you were doing.
Right.
Oh, it drives me insane.
Everybody, you got hurt in a different way than I got
Yeah.
hurt, and that's perfectly fucking fine.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that comparison game.
yeah, I
drives me
don't.
nuts.
Apples to oranges all
Yeah.
day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a long road. One of our close friends, and I'll tell you more off air, but he said it the best. He said, you know, he actually had the opposite problem of what maybe kind of I went through, which is where you come apples to oranges.
Yeah.
He said he had too many identities to choose from,
Ooh.
whereas I was never sure about who the fuck my one was supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, and that problem, not having a hand to hold, not having a correct, positively guiding force,
Yeah.
and like you said, somebody to really talk to
Yeah.
on a human level,
Yeah.
it was so detrimental to growth. Not having that was so detrimental.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's huge, though, of being able to, identify and realize I have too many identities.
Mm-hmm.
And realizing that that's still a problem, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, hearing that was complete like polar opposite. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you find yourself in the wrong places.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother set of fucking problems.
100%. And that's why it's good to ask these kind of questions.
Mhm.
You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You're supposed to listen twice the amount of times that you talk.
Mm-hmm.
And you just need to ask the question and just listen.
Yeah.
And that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Learning, you know, even after starting all this, learning that there's a difference between listening to respond
Mm-hmm.
and listening to understand
Yep.
are 2 incredibly different things. And I did listen. That was my first step, was listening to respond.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the way. For me, it was a big step
Yeah.
because I never did. I was stubborn for so long. I didn't fucking know any better.
Yeah.
But I started listening to respond, and in doing that, I learned that there's a difference between me responding and possibly retaliating than there is, you know, because that's what everybody used to do to me when I was
Yeah.
growing up. People would listen to respond, and they'd be like, okay, well, that's not correct.
Yeah.
Like, well, why the fuck am I talking?
Yeah. Well, and if you're listening to respond, you stop listening.
Yeah.
Like, you stop listening halfway through because you're like, okay, I don't want to forget what I'm saying, and you're so focused on yourself, but you're not even listening to what the rest of what they have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a huge difference between responding to you understanding and just responding to a statement.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I wish that would have been available to me growing up.
I feel like a lot of people could say that.
Yeah, I 100% agree
Yeah.
with you.
Like, we're not alone with it. And I think, like, we're so quick to feel isolated and feel like, oh, I'm the only one that's gone through this, and you isolate yourself because it's not anyone else is isolating you. People are going to be, someone out there is willing to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
You need to stop isolating yourself and actually just say, hey, let's have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not alone out there. You do have someone that's willing to listen and willing to just be there for you.
And the only other thing I can say to that is if you don't, then you're not in the right place.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a hard statement to follow because that does pertain to possibly younger people.
Yeah.
And you can't always choose your place.
No.
Not growing up, you
Yeah.
know. You're kind of fucked into what you get handed.
Yeah.
And that's where the assistance comes in.
Yeah, and that's where you have to find community and find people.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's at school and finding a new group of friends, or finding a teacher that listens to you, like my senior year teacher listened to me, or finding like just something to get you plugged in for someone to find that community.
Mm-hmm. Even at the age that I'm at, I'm still pretty young. Just having the realization recently that I was like, I'm trying to do stuff that I want to do with my life, and that's simple. You know, I just want to do stuff that I want to do.
Yeah.
I still go to work. I still have a full-time job and shit. I handle my responsibilities, but I want to do the things that I want to do. And
Yeah.
I think everybody should. It takes drive. It takes work.
Yeah.
It takes discipline. It takes sleep time and video game time away, but whatever. Fucking do what you want to do.
Yeah.
But it also made me realize that this one might ruffle some feathers.
I'm excited.
Yeah. It just made me realize how many of the people that I know are just like bar friends. You know, I don't have a whole lot of people that are truly interested in the things that drive me,
Yeah.
and trying to be a part of that and things like that. I'm not even just talking about podcasts. There's other stuff that I'm trying to do
Yeah.
that I don't have many people there behind me on, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, I feel it.
Yeah.
I did this, and I take full responsibility for my decisions.
Yeah.
But god damn it,
Yeah.
I sure feel like I've wasted a lot of fucking time now.
Yep. Honestly, me moving to North Carolina made me realize how many of my friends are actually bar friends.
Yeah.
And like I come out here and I visit and I still see those bar friends.
Mm-hmm.
I still
There's a place for them.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just know that you have different circles, and you have your like close inner circle,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have like the ones that you're still close with, but you might not tell your inner personal secrets to, and it just kind of keeps expanding. And you have to realize those bar friends are not going to be the ones that you turn to when you need help.
Mm-hmm.
And me moving away made me realize all of my friends out here, not all of them, this is definitely going to
Handful.
yes, frustrate some people if they hear this one, but a handful of them were just bar friends.
Yeah.
And the only thing, and when I moved away, I had to like question making new friends. If the only way I'm friends with this person is if we go to a bar together, that's not going to be the person that I go to for those close secrets.
Yep. And recognizing there's probably gonna be a point in time where you move on. That's gonna be a hard chapter.
Yeah.
But I'm not ready for it. But
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, there's gonna be a point in time where I'm just not gonna be around certain people anymore because
Yeah.
I'm too busy doing other things that I want to do, and I'm cool with that. But
You almost have to grieve the relationship.
it was fucking hard to realize for me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I ask so many people to be involved in the other projects that I want to start.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, there's not fucking,
Yeah.
just like one person. One of my best friends that I went to high school with is like the only motherfucker.
Yeah.
And he's heard it from me so many times. He's like, oh, you were on this shit again. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know,
But-
I'm serious this time, dude.
I love, at least you have that one though.
Yeah, I do.
But,
Yeah. But it was crazy to think about.
yeah.
And I think that stands for, a lot of different scenarios. People, we're accepted there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you want to be that night.
Yeah.
You're accepted in a group that you can just go be with.
Yeah.
So there's that's not a bad thing.
No, not at all. And I had my therapist actually tell me this, and it blew my mind. But it goes to like, she was talking about relationships, but it goes with friendships too. Potential does not exist. potential is something that you're making up in your head, and you're like, oh, well, this person has the potential to be my friend. This person has the potential to be in my inner circle that we could go do these projects with.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one making that up in your head, though. That potential is not given by that person. And so you're really making up your own scenario in your head of like, oh, they could be this. You're imagining something that is not there. And so you need to get out of your head of, well, they have the potential.
Right.
You have to let them show you that they have it, not that it could be there. Because it's not, it could be there. It's not there until it's there.
And that's pretty fucking true, you know?
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way.
That one made me mad. I'm not even going to lie. When she looked at me and she's like, we were talking about a relationship, and I was like, well, he has the potential. And she was like, you know, that's something that you made up in your head, right? And I go, that's rude. Like, I did not make it up in my
Jesus,
head.
lady.
Yeah. Like, okay, cool. Thank you so much for calling me out on that one. But it's true. Like, it's not there.
That's crazy. And that moves on to something else that I've taken a real big part in. You know, I try to open my eyes a lot to connection.
Yeah.
The things, who you are will attract who you need.
Yeah.
And you know, if your eyes are open, then those connections you'll always see them.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of how you,
Absolutely.
close the deal, so to speak.
Yeah.
But when you, I'm a big proponent of like speaking things into existence, thinking things into existence, that kind of stuff. You know, my energy is something that I put out.
Yeah.
And it takes me where I need to go.
Yeah.
And that's insane that they would put it that way. It's fuck.
Well, and going off what you said, your friends, are you putting it out there? Are you at the bar every night saying, this is the energy that I'm giving out? This is like, I want to be at the bar every night?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you putting yourself in environments where it's, hey, I want to go start this project. Who's around me that's willing to start this project?
Stuff like that I've dabbled in.
Yeah.
I don't so much anymore. But also for everything that I'm kind of involved in, including a long ass work schedule, I try to find balance for everything.
You have to.
You know?
Yeah.
I get a lot of my stuff done here. Like, it's been a pretty busy week in and outside between work and here.
Yeah.
I've kept myself pretty busy this week, so I try to find a balance for everything.
And you need to have that.
Yeah.
You need to have, like, if you're all work and no play, you're going to, like, burn yourself out. 100%.
I definitely have.
Yeah.
You know, there was weeks when I started this where I was doing. I think a couple of weeks I banked like 12 episodes in 7 days.
Jeez.
And that was on top of the same job that I have now.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I did that for a long time. I did that for like the whole first year.
Yeah.
And then finally I was like, I gotta pump the brakes.
Yeah.
This isn't gonna fucking help me.
Well, and exactly, like, what was that doing for you when you were doing that?
Right.
Like, was it burning you out? Was it getting you any further? Or was it, like, just burning you out?
It was the wrong direction. The fire was there.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that because it got me where I am.
Yeah.
But it has a lot more attention now.
Yeah.
Even with me only doing one episode, like one every 2 weeks, which is
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it has the momentum.
Yeah.
I have to learn how to treat it.
Yeah.
And that was the key.
Yeah.
Not doing what I was doing. That was not the key.
No.
So.
Because then you're going to start to hate the thing that you're excited for.
Exactly. And I wanted to make sure that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
Because that was going to be... fortunately, I've never lost the passion for this. And I think that's something else that's really, truly important is when you find something that you love to do, you don't give up on it.
Yeah.
It's fucking shitty, but if you find the balance and you do your stuff outside of work and you do your stuff outside of school, don't let go of it. It doesn't matter. A small step is a small step.
Yeah. It's a step.
This is 3 years in the making.
Yeah.
So.
3 years, yeah. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
I remember when you first started doing it, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And that was 3 years ago. That's crazy.
Yeah. Most people wouldn't. I'm sure there's a lot of people that didn't expect it to still be here.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's a part of me at this point.
Yeah.
And I think that's super cool development for anybody who's doing something that they want to do.
Yeah.
The baby steps and the development, well, it'll be a part of you.
Yeah, and I'm sure it also has taught you a lot of different things, not only just by having the conversations, but saying, I'm going to stick to it, taught you something else that you're able to take into continue with this and take into the next thing, and also pour into someone else of, this is what I learned when I kept doing it for 3 years. It did get hard, but once you get past that hump, it's something like huge happened or whatever it is.
When the speed bumps come, they do, but that's where people tend to give up.
Yeah.
Regardless of what their speed bump is. The only thing I can say is, just like I said, don't give up.
Yeah.
Just don't stop. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
And this sucks. And the speed bump that I'm at right now sucks a lot.
Yeah.
Because now I'm striding for much bigger things, but...
Well, take your own advice. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
And I'm sure, like, people hate hearing that, too. My personality...
Yeah, don't give up.
Yeah, okay.
You don't know how hard it is.
Yeah, that's easier said than done. Like, that's cool. You're giving me that advice. But still, no. I'm sure that's super frustrating for some people. But you're right.
Especially as an adolescent.
Yeah.
Not knowing what that discipline feels like.
Yeah. Well, and back to college, like, I feel like, if anything, that is what college taught me. Of, like... I have to I start something, you have to, like, continue it. Like, you don't just give up because it's hard. I wouldn't say I gave up with college because it was hard. I gave up because I had another opportunity that opened up. But if you're just like, oh, this is too much for me, this is too hard, like, that's not going to teach you anything. If you're giving up because of the circumstances, it's different. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. You didn't necessarily give up just to give up.
Yeah.
You just passed on the opportunity
Yeah.
for a different one that suited you better.
Yeah.
And that's definitely different circumstances.
Absolutely.
That's one of the things that, admittedly, that freaked me out about college.
Yeah.
Was the fact that it was all on me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I heard so many stories about, like, professors and stuff. They're like, I don't give a fuck if you show up or not.
Yeah, they don't.
And, like, they're like, I'm getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, this is literally all on me. It's my debt. It's my class. It's my schedule.
Yeah.
I have to do it all. And I was like, I don't even know what the fuck class I want to take.
Yeah.
So why the fuck would I be that motivated?
Yeah. And it's not for everyone.
That's
so.
crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Especially some of the fuckers that do, like, I don't know what ASU would be called, like full-time college?
Yeah.
With jobs?
University, yeah.
Yeah. University while having a job?
It was hard.
I'm like, outside of your fucking head?
Yeah.
Oh,
I worked for a car dealership when I went to GCU. And between that and a 7:15 class and trying to go have fun with my friends, and it was hard.
Yeah.
I would show up to work hungover, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I want to go have fun with my friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys aren't the end game here.
Exactly. Yeah.
So were you born out here?
I was, yeah.
Then you stayed out here until
I was 21. Then moved to Florida. Lived out there for a year. Came back. And then moved 3 years ago.
So going back, and you could tell me no.
Okay.
But you said your therapist called you out on having quote unquote daddy issues.
Oh yeah.
What were your parents together or what
no,
happened?
so and my dad is my best friend. I love my dad.
Yeah.
Him and I are very close. So my mom and dad got married when I was 2 and separated when I was 2. So like I never really knew my parents together.
Okay.
And my dad learned from his dad how to be a father and how to be a husband. And it was kind of that whole situation of, well, you have it better than I have it. My grandpa was not the best man at all. He was very loved, but did not know how to be a family man, did not know how to love. And so my dad, he just tried his best, and he had not the best hand dealt to him. And so for me, it was that whole thing of, this isn't right. The way my dad is like popping off is not right. The way he's treating people is not the right way to treat people.
Your grandpa's telling you all this?
No, this is like me, my head.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
no. My grandpa would just, he was a very funny man. He was always in his own little world. But my dad just did not know what a man looked like. He thought my grandpa was in a biker club, and my dad was patched into that club at 15 years old. He was the youngest. Still to this day was ever the youngest person ever patched into that club.
Shit.
Yeah. And so like my dad had to grow up very young, and so he didn't know how, like, what a father figure looked like
Mm-hmm.
and what a man really looked like. And so it took trial and error with my dad. And my dad finally said, and he did this probably 10 years ago, or maybe a little longer, but he goes, I don't want to be that same person. I realize I'm hurting people, and I don't want to hurt people anymore.
Takes a fucking man to say
and
that.
that's exactly, and I had to remind him of that daily, of
Yeah.
like, that's huge.
Yeah.
People don't say that. And he caused hurt with, I have 2 older brothers, and then we all have different moms, but same dad. My 2 older brothers, they got the worst of it because they were older than me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm daddy's little princess, and so it was just different having a girl in the picture, but he doesn't mean that he didn't do things wrong with me either. But it was finally, he realized that, and he would even tell the story, he almost lost, so my little brother, his mom almost passed away, and when she almost passed away, someone else came in and goes, oh, I'll raise the kid if she passes, just so you know. And my dad was like, you're not raising my kid. Like, what do you mean? You're raising him.
Yeah.
And so my dad, that was kind of like, that lit the fire under him of, I need to have my shit together to make sure someone else isn't raising my child.
Mhm.
I'm raising my child. And so our family, like, dynamic was just a very,
Sorry.
nope, you're throwing things at me. It's fine. You're like, I don't like the story anymore. Just shut
Tap
up.
out. Tap out. No.
It was not, it's a very messy, and it's just, looking at it now, it's hurt people hurting people.
Mm.
And
Yes.
that was exactly what it was. And so my dad had to say, I'm done hurting people. And at the time, my dad was still hurting me. He was still hurting the people around. And my therapist was like, well, based off your behavior, you have daddy issues. And I'm like, I'm fully aware of the dad that I have.
Yeah.
Like, I do not need you to tell me this.
Thank you for that.
And that's what I also think, like, is super frustrating with therapy itself, of, you have to understand the therapist that you're seeing. Is it someone, and I ask my friends this all the time, when they're coming to me with any kind of problems, are you wanting me to listen to you, or are you wanting me to give you advice? Because if you want me to listen to you, I will keep my mouth shut, and I will just listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want me to give advice, you have to be prepared. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to, like, you have to be ready for the advice, too. Like, I have so many friends that are like, oh, I want the advice, but they're not ready to hear it, and then they get mad at me.
Yeah.
But my dad, he needed to learn on his own. I need to break the traditions that our family passed down. Traditions aren't always good. And it was just a messy, hurtful family of generations.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. You're in a you're. I'm trying to do math at the same time. Like 10 years younger than me. 2015. Yeah. So
27.
You're 9 years younger than me.
Okay.
Yep. Well, I was between our ages. We were kind of coming from a generation that didn't have much technology.
Yeah.
A different generation that just was built different.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a different dynamic, you know, and they don't really understand how to be on the softer side of things.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand. My dad, the only thing I remember from my dad was not a whole lot of talking and just a whole lot of, if something needed to be done,
Yeah.
then he really wasn't going to talk about it. He was just going to do it.
Yeah.
So it was just like this stone kind of thing.
And that's my dad. Or if he did show emotion, it was usually anger. And that's not the best either.
Mine wasn't too angry, but I don't think he was ever too happy. So it's
Yeah.
like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't really know. He didn't talk much, so
Yeah.
I get it. And that's something, like you said, changing the dynamic,
Yeah.
changing the family tree it's a motherfucker.
It is. And that's, so when I went to therapy, she asked me, like this last time, she asked me what my top 3 goals are. And the first one was, I want to break the traditions and the trauma of the generational trauma that has happened, because I don't want my kids, I don't want to have to look at my kids and say, well, at least you didn't have it as bad as me.
Yeah.
I don't want that excuse. I want to show my kids the best love that I could show.
Mm-hmm.
And I broke up with my ex, and I was like, okay, I probably wasn't emotionally intelligent enough to date someone at that time, where I caused him hurt. I didn't know how to communicate, and so I was like, I need to break these things that I learned from my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that anymore. And so that was like my first goal in therapy of I want to identify it so I know not to do it.
Right. Understanding it is definitely one fucking giant hurdle.
Yeah.
I will say, kind of sharing the same mindset that you have, going into another relationship and expecting that out of somebody else is going to be a whole nother fucking hurdle.
Yeah.
Because there's not a whole lot of people that are able to take a frustrating moment and have a conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's going to be a fucking building block for sure. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that could be a whole.
That's a whole nother episode.
That's a long one because I definitely have. Yeah, it's a fresh. But that's why I knew I want to get married. I want to like have that life, and if I want that, I need to stop doing the same things that I'm doing because clearly that's not working for me.
Right, and that's oh god.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to therapy and I'm going to fix myself, not for anyone else. But so I'm a happier person. And I've noticed a difference in me since I started therapy and since I like started changing my lifestyle. I'm so much happier. I'm so much happier. And I was able to like come out on this trip and I hung out with my friends last night and like I was not drunk by any means. And I had so much fun with my friends last night. I was like, okay, it was amazing. But if I was like the old me, I would have been absolutely wasted and regretting it this morning and like all that stuff, and you just have to change your mindset.
Yeah. As much as I hate to say it, without involving your ego, you kind of have to place yourself above everything.
Yeah.
You know?
But you have to be humble when you do it.
I was going to say, well, that's the balance point that's needed, because I'm not telling you that I'm not telling anybody that they're better than everybody, but you have to treat yourself that way.
Yeah.
And you have to be humble with it, you know?
Yeah. And you have to treat it better, like, you have to treat it that way, but also know you're not the best one out there.
Well, 100%.
And that you need to continue to grow. One of my best friends, Adam, and I love him, he was friends with my brother, and I hated him. I absolutely hated him growing up. He was just a little shithead, and like he could tell stories about like how much of a shithead he was in high school and like growing up with him. And when him and our paths crossed again, one thing that I noticed about him was he went out of his way to say, I want to be a better person tomorrow than I am today.
Oh yeah.
And so he knew that he was, but you also have to identify where you were to know where you came from.
Yeah.
So the way he treated it was, I know I'm not that guy anymore, but I'm not where I want to be. And so he had that ego above it, but that humility of knowing I still have growth to do.
100%.
Yeah.
It's super important. And having the open mindset to go with it is just, you know, it's... I hate the reference to him because I do it so many times, but Joe Rogan...
Yeah, love him.
He fucking... The first time I heard him say, I'm not married to any of my thoughts, I was like... Bro!
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit!
Yep.
That's the mindset you have to have.
Yeah.
Going into a conversation and knowing that this can go any fucking way. It's totally cool.
Yeah.
And it's not oh god. It blew my mind the first time I heard it.
And you have to have that. I love that. I haven't heard that, but that is like, that's huge. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always room for improvement. There's always room for growth, and yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's almost been an hour. I think we're gonna end it on that fucking
Yeah,
phenomenal
let's do
thought.
it. I love it.
Do you have anything? Do you have any like socials that you want to plug or anything that you want people to know about? Nothing.
Nope. I'll wait until you get famous, and then I'll be like, hey, I'm using it for clout. Hey, I was on here in the OG days, and so I'll just use it for clout.
I can't wait till people can do that.
Oh,
come on here and just fucking blow it up.
I'm speaking it now. It's going to happen, and then I'm going to say, you know what? Look up that name. My name is on there, and I was there first.
I'm going to use it in the what would you say your job title is?
Children's pastor.
Children's pastor.
Yeah.
In North Carolina?
Yeah. Charlotte, North Carolina.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, if anybody has questions, comments, concerns, or wants to get in touch with her, feel free to send me an email, meversusmeinfo@gmail.com, or you can comment on the Spotify or the Apple podcast that you're listening to this on. However you want to send me a comment, I get them all. Feel free. And apparently she'll be back once we're fucking rolling.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Good night, everybody.